Yeah.
Hey yo, man, it's your time. Man, fuck poverty. Get this money, man. What the fuck you gotta do, you know what I'm saying?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Phil and Leroy the Judgmental Podcast. I'm Leroy. No Philip this week. And before I get into some news stories, I have to read something that someone sent me on Reddit last week. Shout out to Grilled Nanas on Reddit. It's GRILLEDNANNAS, Grilled Nanas. He writes, or the person writes, I'm sorry, because I don't know if it's a man or a woman. You guys really have good banter, and I was really impressed with the cutting back and forth between clips and your commentary. That can often feel jarring, but you got the sound levels balanced so well. It was very good, very natural and sounding like I was just watching it in the same room with you, which was pleasant and amusing. Concrete Ruin, this is his criticism. 1. Editing out some leading stutters would be pretty easy and really does have an impact on how polished a speaker sounds. I don't even know what that is, but I'll look out for it. Matter of fact, I'll go and Google it or YouTube. I can edit it out, but I don't know what he's talking about. Number 2, jump from personal banter to the actual show was a little jarring. So just one sentence like, so we're actually here to talk about would help, I think. Yes, sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. You're right about that. I do it on the, we do the musical podcast with me and my cousin Jay. And I do, when we start talking about personal stuff, then I'll say, well, we're here for, blankety blank. So he's right about that. And I will take that in consideration on a future episodes. But I do it sometimes. Number 3, host 2 quality is notably lower. You probably already know that, but yeah. He's talking about Philip, and that's a Skype thing. I don't know. He has a microphone and all that stuff, and he sounds clear to me, but it might be a little low to everyone. Again, I'll take that also in consideration. I can boost his up a little bit when he talks. I'll try that next. Sometimes I do that also. I'll boost his levels up on during editing. But for now on, as he said that, I'll take that also in consideration to the future episodes to do it more often. And number 4, honestly, transphobia is a real big deal breaker as a listener, and didn't even seem like you had that strong of an opinion on it. Unless you're specifically courting that kind of audience, I would just toss a green like that in, but that's me. I wouldn't just toss that green like that on me. I don't know what he's talking about. The only time I talked about transsexuals or transgenders was when I had mentioned, we talked about that Justin Pearson, that the guy who's mocking. He's a star in the black community, I guess, because he was on Breakfast Club. As I told Philip, that it won't be the last we'll see him. So he was on Breakfast Club this week, and he channels Dr. Martin Luther King, and the fool actually was doing a press conference at the Lorraine Hotel. Come on, man, you're 28 years old. Damn, Snoop Dogg, all you know about rap is Snoop Dogg was rapping ever since you was a little damn kid. You don't know anything else about rap other than damn Snoop Dogg. So what the hell you gonna do this like black this Negro spiritual talk in his voice? well, when we were talking about that, the protest was about they were protesting about the gun rights in Nashville because that lady had went into the Christian school and gunned down kids and teachers and stuff. But the news report said that she goes by a man. I didn't say it. I just repeated what the news said. The news said she goes by a man, but I don't think she legally changed her name or anything like that. So I don't have anything against transgenders, because to be honest with you, I don't give a damn what you do. If you want to dress, if you a girl and you want to dress like a boy and call yourself a boy, so be it. If you a boy and you want to dress like a girl and call yourself a girl and everything, so be it. As long as you're an adult, what the hell I can say? I'm not the moral police. Well, let's get into some news reports now. Coming out of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. This was in November. 22-year-old Eric Hayes is charged with second-degree murder for the death of 23-year-old Zaria McKeever at her Brooklyn Park apartment. The two teens, ages 15 and 17, were also charged with second-degree murder in juvenile court. Now, I'm going to play the first article is about what happened. This was in November. Here's the report.
A woman still in shock after her sister's tragic murder.
That is just so messed up that this is her story, you know?
Police said that she was killed inside her Brooklyn Park home this week. 2 teenagers are among those charged in her death. And as WCCO's Alan Henry reports, the victim's sister thinks that she died protecting someone else.
Pure evil and jealousy, that's what led to it.
Tiffany Epps says Monday was a typical day, with one exception.
Me and my sister went somewhere and her child's father was following us.
It was just after 2:30 on Tuesday morning that Brooklyn Park officers were dispatched to these apartments on a possible home invasion. When they arrived, they found 23-year-old Zaria McKeever shot multiple times.
Police say this man, 23-year-old Eric Haynes, McKeever's ex, had been harassing and following her for weeks.
Super simp. This is like mega simp. This ain't no super simp.
She was better in her life, and she knew that he was a downfall, and he was, you know, part of the reason why things were going the way they were for her.
Police.
So, in other words, that he was a thug. He was thugging, and she loved that when he was out there thugging and selling or whatever. And so she wanted to change her life and kind of mature, but the thug wasn't having it.
Say Haynes admitted to buying a gun and giving it to 2 teenagers. He told them to break in and beat up the victim's new boyfriend while he waited in the car.
So you found someone that was dumber than you, and you had them do this. Now all you guys' life are ruined. You guys ruined our lives, took her away from us and her daughter. Like, it's crazy. All for what?
It's unclear why her sister was the one killed, but Epps has a theory.
Knowing her, she thought she could defuse the situation because she knew the guys. They were her baby dad's friends.
Epps is hoping her sister's story...
also 2 thugs, so she been thugging in Minnesota.
...saves someone else.
If you see signs, if you notice things, if you get vibes about people, like, literally, like, you know, start calling police and making reports and protect yourself by any means, like, because you never know what could happen.
Alan Henry, WCCO 4 News.
Prosecutors charge Haynes and the 2 juveniles involved in the shooting with murder. Haynes' bail is set at $1 million. He is in court next week.
Okay, so the story is, okay, like they said, they broke up. So he got 2 crash dummies, the 17-year-old and the 15-year-old, to go inside the apartment and beat up the they just was going to beat him up, and I assume they was going, well, who knows, he gave him a gun, so he probably told them to shoot him or something. That's probably what the two teens said. So they were going over there to confront the boyfriend, which I'm assuming the boyfriend is probably someone that the thug already knew, probably someone around the way. So they came in, they tried the home invasion there, and I guess the 2 guys and the girl was like arguing at the door. And I assume they was trying to get past her, and she was like wrestling with him or wrestling with the gun, and they shot her. So Player was in the bathroom and heard this, so he jumped out the window, and he the one that ran and called the police and said that someone was in the apartment, and he heard shots, and he don't know who was shot because he ran. So that's what happened. That was in November. So they went to court. The two juveniles went to court, and they both got a plea. A plea that they were only due 2 years or less in jail for committing this murder. So if they're going to do 2 years in jail or less, they're going to wind up doing 6 months in jail. So the family, of course, is livid. And here's more of the family complaining about the judgment, the plea that the two juveniles was allowed to get. Here's the report on that.
Our top story here at 6, a jealous ex, a plot to kill, and 3 people later charged with murder. It's not a story many would tie to teenagers.
But that's exactly what prosecutors say happened. And tonight, the victim's family is calling for top state officials to pay attention, accusing the Hennepin County attorney of going too soft on 2 of those suspects because of their age.
Fox 9's Karen Scullin walks us through this new development.
Fighting for justice, Tiffany Epps says she hasn't had time to grieve. Her sister, Zaria McKeever, was shot and killed last November in Brooklyn Park. Frustrated with the plea deal offered by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office that includes 2 years or less behind bars for the juvenile suspects.
I said 6 months. It might be even less than 6 months, maybe around about 3.
She started a petition asking the governor to step in and appoint the attorney general to take over at least part of the case.
In 15 minutes, I had over 100 signatures, and over 2 days, I had over 1,000.
Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty departed from the norm. Typically, in a juvenile murder case, the teens are tried as adults and, if convicted, serve many years in prison. The decision has the family outraged and the Brooklyn Park Police Department, who investigated the case, baffled.
They stalked and followed for weeks leading up to this, so they knew the plan. He had many times to back out, many times to say no. No one actually held a gun to his head. They put it in his hand.
This isn't. She's right. They've been stalking her for weeks, and the 2 teenagers, the 2 teenagers and the girl knew each other because that was her thug boyfriend's friends. So they all knew each other, so they knew what they was up to. It wasn't like they was like being coerced or anything like that. They knew they was down to do some thugging or whatever, and shot her and killed her. So no, I don't agree with they should be tried as juveniles. They should be tried as adults because it's conspiracy. They conspired to do this. They all sat there and conspired to. I don't think that they was just going over there to beat the boyfriend. I'm thinking they was going over there to kill him, because why those 2 kids had a gun? They could have just went over there and just beat his ass. No, they had a gun. They was going to shoot. They was going to kill him in that apartment, but they killed her instead. So no, they should be both tried as adult. And Philip always made a point about how they would let these guys get less time in jail, and they'll come out and just tear the neighborhood up. And I think they do that as a point. They allow these guys to get these low sentences, and they come home and they do the same thing when they get home, terrorizing the neighborhood. Now these 2 juveniles, they gonna be the man on their block. They killed somebody. You can say they got away with it. They gonna be the men on their block. Everybody gonna be scared of them because they got a body on them. They'll pop their gun, or whoever did it. So shit, they the man around. They gonna wreak havoc in that neighborhood when they get out, or if they get out.
Stealing a car. This isn't stealing candy bars or a fight. This is murder.
Moriarty has said in the past she's looking at alternative consequences for juvenile crime, which will help communities of color in the long run. But Epps and the chief say that should not be the approach when you're talking about murder.
She's not African American, so she does not know what's best for us. And we all are speaking out saying that this is not right. So
yeah, a white woman. This is a white woman they're talking about. She's going to do something with crime and African Americans. Like, what the hell? You're not black, so props to the sister for saying that.
So
she's a sister, but it's the girl's sister.
With that being said, either you should listen or someone should take over and do the right thing.
In this particular case, they're upset that there's nothing being done, and this is another, in their opinion, in their words, another black person that's lost their life, and now nobody's representing her, the victim.
A judge has signed off on the plea deal for the 17-year-old, but his 15-year-old brother, the alleged trigger man, has not had his deal go.
Oh, I didn't know they were brothers, the 15 and the 17-year-old.
Before a judge just yet.
Once justice is served, then I feel like I'll be able to grieve properly.
The case against the adult, who prosecutors say orchestrated the crime, is still working its way through the courts. Karen Scullin, Fox 9.
And we did reach out to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for comment on the petition, but have not yet heard back.
Also make.
All right, so the next clip, same case, is the Hennepin County Attorney faces criticism of the juvenile charges. This is the lady that they were talking about. So here's the report on that.
And we will continue our work until justice is done for Zaria McKeever.
Well, the Hennepin County Attorney announces new charges in the high-stakes murder case of Zaria McKeever that has sparked a lot of controversy about prosecuting violent juvenile offenders. Now, the county attorney's office has charged 2 more adults now in connection to that deadly shooting.
But the young man who pulled the trigger continues to have his case in juvenile court. Let's bring in Paul Bloom. Paul, 5 people have been charged in Zaria's murder, but it really still is not enough for her family.
BC and Tim, it is not. The family continues to demand that the Attorney General step in here and take over the case, arguing justice just cannot be done unless the alleged shooter is sent to prison, adult prison, for a very long time.
The shooter, the murderer, and the mastermind go aggressively on both, no matter the age.
Tiffany Epps remains steadfast in her belief that the 15-year-old gunman who killed her sister, Zaria McKeever, back in November, is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And that means in adult court with adult consequences. Explaining any other prosecutorial maneuvering is just politics, and her sister deserves better.
She's been thrown into Mary's political gain, and she's trying to use us as a test dummy, and I'm sorry, but she picked the wrong family.
Let me be clear about this. Zaria's murder is a devastating case of domestic homicide.
On Friday, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty announced that.
Well, if that's the case, then why are the guys that actually did the homicide, why are they in juvenile court?
Additional charges in the case against 2 adults for aiding an offender after the fact. The deadly shooting has provided headaches for the new top.
So the 2 adults, the 2 more charges on the adults, so they were aiding and abetting the 2 juveniles. I'm assuming they must have charged the mom or some family member with hiding out the 2 kids, maybe.
Prosecutor and her stance on juvenile justice. Her team offering plea deals to a pair of teen brothers who allegedly stormed into a Brooklyn Park apartment and killed the 23-year-old mother in exchange for their cooperation, nailing the man who reportedly orchestrated the murderous plot, Zaria's ex-boyfriend, Eric Haynes. The 15-year-old gunman, now set to enter a guilty plea next month that would send him to juvenile lockup for up to 2 years, followed by a strict probationary period.
He's not doing 2 years. First, it was 2 years, less than 2. Like I said, they'd probably be out of jail by 4 months.
Period that avoids adult prison time as long as he remains law-abiding. Zaria's family believes it's way too lenient and is asking the governor to step in and transfer the case over to the Attorney General's office.
Because Mary is mishandling this case.
And the Attorney General's office weighing in just today with this statement, offering assistance by, quote, bringing some sense of comfort and confidence to the family, end quote. The county attorney, though, doubling down, explaining these latest charges are the direct result of the teens' cooperation, and there are absolutely no plans to change course prosecuting the 15-year-old alleged shooter. It should be noted here, Mary Moriarty took 0 questions today from the media. A lot of news.
I wonder why.
Paul Bloom, Fox 9.
All right, so the next one is the governor assigned Harrison, the Attorney General, Minnesota Attorney General's Keith Ellison. He's always a guest on Real Time with Bill Maher. So they got him involved in it. And this is the last one of this story. Here's the report.
Well, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Our top story is another development to a story that we've been following now for a few weeks. A murder case allegedly plotted by a jealous ex who hired 2 teens to carry out the crime. And on the eve of a possible plea deal, the governor is now stepping in. Our Karen Scullin has the latest tonight from our live center for us. Karen?
Yeah, it's a huge development in the case of a 15-year-old charged with murder. The family had been asking the governor to give the prosecution of the case to the Attorney General, Keith Ellison. and that finally happened late this afternoon.
How old are you? We're happy.
Renewed hope for the family of Zaria McKeever, the 23-year-old who was shot and killed in Brooklyn Park last November. The family had been fighting back against a plea deal offered by Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty that would have given a 15-year-old charged with the murder 2 years or less behind bars. While the family believed it was a horrible injustice, Moriarty believed justice and public safety would be served best with the teens in a program for juveniles, then oversight till 21. But the family, the community, and ultimately the Attorney General strongly disagreed. A.G. Ellison asked the governor for the case, and tonight Governor Walz called the family to tell them it was happening.
He said, "This is Tim Walz," and I'm like, "The governor?" So I just took off running to go upstairs where my mom was and he's telling me first that he's gonna appoint the case to the Attorney General and he wants justice to be served. So we all screamed. We were just so happy. Oh my gosh. And then I was just, oh my.
We had just got to finish praying about the case, actually. And then not even 5 minutes later, she get that call.
Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty releasing a statement tonight on Ellison's involvement in the case, saying, "Inserting himself in these cases simply because he disagrees with the choice I was elected to make is deeply troubling and should alarm prosecutors across the state."
Well, you messed up, ma'am. And they stepped in and corrected your mistake. Now, put yourself in their family's shoes. And some juvenile came in. First of all, they conspired, and they came in and they killed one of your loved ones. Would you make them have a plea deal where they only get 2 years or less in jail? And like I said, they probably gonna wind up doing 4 months and come out.
Now, the plea deal was supposed to go before a judge tomorrow morning. It's really kind of unclear at this point what happens. However, it's likely with a new attorney, it pretty much changes everything, including any kind of deal on the table. We could hear something more tonight on this, and we will hear more from Zaria McKeever's family tonight at 9 on Fox 9. Tim?
All right, Karen, thanks. Well,
it's good that the Minnesota Attorney General had stepped in. That's good for them for that. Good for the family, too. Because that's just giving them 2 years is ridiculous. Well, our next case, we went to Fulton County, Georgia. We went there. We talked about the correctional officer sleeping with the inmate. And the inmates getting food and everything. And phones because they recorded themselves eating steaks inside the jail. So here we go. The same jail, Fulton County Detention Center. We got a 33-year-old Fulton County detention officer, Wakila Anthony, is accused of falsifying timesheets, clocking $130,000 in overtime hours. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is this a street entrepreneur? You tell me. Here's the report.
The detention officer is off the job, facing charges for allegedly lying about how much work she was actually doing. Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt says that she stole tens of thousands of dollars in overtime pay. And the sheriff spoke exclusively with Channel 2's Michael Seiden. Mike with us live at the Fulton County Jail. Michael, you learned that the investigation started because the sheriff was looking into giving his deputies better pay.
And Justin, more on that in a moment, but I want to tell you, we came out here to the jail this afternoon, and we've really been out here all day waiting for this former detention officer to bond out. We wanted to get her side of the story, but according to jail records, at this hour, she remains behind bars. But as you mentioned, Sheriff Pat Labatt, he has been outspoken, obviously getting better pay, benefits overtime for his men and women, and during that time, he conducted an internal audit, and it was at that point that they realized that this former detention officer had received nearly two.
Now, did this lady know that they were going to, she had to know that they do audits and they're going to look at your timesheets and all that stuff and what match or not.
Times her.
Well, I guess she didn't care because she got that money and all the rest she figured it out later. I don't know.
Her entire salary just in overtime alone.
It's physically impossible for someone to work those kinds of hours.
That's how Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labat responded after I asked him about the stunning allegations against his now former detention officer seen here in this mugshot.
That hair looking good. That's what she used her overtime money for.
On Wednesday, Wankeela Anthony waived her first court appearance, but newly released court documents accused the 33-year-old of submitting fraudulent timesheets that investigators say allowed her to collect tens of thousands of dollars in overtime pay for work she never completed.
It looks like in excess of $130,000 off of a base salary that is $50,000. That this particular young lady had falsified documents, forged those documents, and in fact was still in time.
Sheriff Labat says this criminal investigation began last month after his office launched an internal audit looking specifically at which employees were earning the most overtime pay. Investigators say Anthony topped that list. In fact, according to the arrest affidavit, an official in HR contacted her to inquire about the name of the sergeant who had signed the time adjustment sheet. But the sergeant denied signing her timesheets, telling the investigators that he had not worked with her since 2021.
So she got some superior that she hasn't worked with in 2 years, and she he like, who? Well, the thing is, why didn't they HR seen this from the jump anyway? This goes to show you that it doesn't matter how much money you make or what type of good job you have. There's a lot of people that's incompetent or just don't want to do their job. I don't know what to call it, because they should have caught this from when she started it.
Now, court documents also show the sergeant signed a blank timesheet and compared the signatures, which appeared different. We've also learned investigators spoke with multiple officials.
So she forged the person's signature.
Including a second sergeant who gave this account about Anthony. She frequently calls out, saying her husband is sick and has to have surgery. Now, the sergeant also says she took a vacation day last month, but when they checked her timesheet, she claimed to have worked 17 hours that day.
This is not
17 hours that day. Is she a doctor? Did she have to sleep in there, or?
Representative of the hundreds of women and men that work for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. This, I believe, is an outlier where somebody got greedy.
Channel 2's Michael Seiden back with us live. So, Michael, it took an audit to catch this. So what is the Sheriff's Office doing moving forward to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again?
And Justin, I posed that exact question to the sheriff. He said, first and foremost, he says there are going to be several officials in his office that will have new responsibilities, really keeping track of audit and seeing where this overtime pay is going. He also said, though, this was an important step because it shows that they are doing the right thing here. And when he says officials, they're making sure that they're not wasting taxpayer dollars. He also told me there's some new technology. He didn't really elaborate specifically what it is, but he says the county will be using that. But again, he made it very clear that this is not a representation of the hundreds of men and women who work here every single day. He said he is glad that they were able to get this bad apple out. And of course, as soon as she bonds out, we'll hopefully get a statement from her. Justin?
An outlier, no doubt. Michael Seiden, thank you.
All right, well, shout out to Fulton County Jail, where fuck the inmates. It's the officers that are criminals, and they'll sleep with you. So now we're going to go to Monroe Township, Michigan, where a 32-year-old Detroit man is in jail for allegedly sexually harassing and assaulting several males in a bathroom rest stop in Monroe County. Here's the report. I don't know why the fuck you think he would get away with that, but here we go. It's these drugs out here.
And we begin this afternoon with a Detroit man behind bars tonight following alleged sexual assaults at a rest stop. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'm Glenda Lewis.
And I'm Brian Abel. The accusations are nothing short of disturbing. Authorities say several people were victims of the alleged abuse.
And we're told it all unfolded Monday afternoon at the Michigan Welcome Center along northbound 75 in Monroe County. 7 Action News reporter Darren Cunningham traveled across state lines where the suspect was captured.
She looks so upset.
Hundreds of people are in and out of the rest stop here at the Michigan Welcome Center just north of the Ohio border every single day. But for those who say this is a routine stop for them off I-75, Monday was anything but.
Like someone slaughtered a deer.
That's how bad it was.
Todd Wood, a custodian at the Michigan Welcome Center, recalls cleaning up blood belonging to a man accused of committing several sexual assaults in the men's bathroom on Monday. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office says a 32-year-old man from Detroit inappropriately touched several males, then physically attacked and sexually assaulted an 80-year-old Melvindale man in the lobby, dragging him into the bathroom. Wood says others intervened.
The guys beat the crap out of him. Yeah, there's pools.
Of course they did. What do you expect?
Pools of blood.
The sheriff's office says the suspect then ran across the northbound lanes of I-75 to his vehicle parked on the southbound median shoulder. A pursuit down I-75 started when the first deputy arrived. An officer from Erie Township joined the pursuit, and it continued across state lines into Ohio. Authorities say the pursuit ended in this area when the suspect's vehicle ran out of gas, just north of Interstate 280. Learning what happened here had travelers reflecting on safety.
Forces us to kind of heighten our senses around our own awareness, right? So where we're at, what we're doing.
Oh, that wouldn't happen to a horse because he'll put foot in somebody's ass if a man try to grab his ass or something like that.
You know.
He like, oh no, that wouldn't happen to me because I beat the shit out of him. He grabbed my ass in the bathroom.
How are we making sure we're taking care of ourselves?
I just think that, people need to really step up and help others out like they did yesterday. I think too that they need to have maybe some paid people around to monitor situations and monitor the areas for safety.
Personally, I just try to be aware of my surroundings at all times. Tell my kids the same thing.
Oh, he definitely ain't playing that shit.
The suspect charged with fleeing and eluding, aggravated assault and sexual assault, and is in the process of being extradited back to Michigan. In Monroe County, Darren Cunningham, 7 Action News.
Well, yeah, fentanyl. We gotta get this fentanyl off the street, or PCP or whatever, because obviously this guy was on something and thinking he was gonna get away with that. Well, all right, y'all. That's my time. You can reach the Judgementals on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at pnljudgementals, Instagram at the_Judgementals. Or you can email us at pnljudgementals@gmail.com. Well, have a good day, y'all.
Comments on my photos, that's why I stay on the low. Most of y'all is associates, so I be on my dolo. Hold up, walk that, whoa, hold the phone. You think all I do is rap? I can do it on my own. That's why I produce the track. Don't wonder where my crew is at. They'll be back. Niggas see me walking on the block and look like, who is that? Who is that? People always wanna know where my friends is at, like we attached. I don't need no crew to produce the same effect. How lame is that? Niggas say that we drawing, but really we ball.